Hello and welcome to my video all about how to knit 2/2 cables. I've already done tutorials for 1/2 and 2/1 cables, as you can see in this knitting sample, and now I'm going to show you how to do 2/2 left crosses, 2/2 right crosses, 2/2 left purl crosses and 2/2 right purl crosses. Essentially, all of these cables involve taking 2 stitches over another 2 stitches. So first I'm going to start with the 2/2 left cross cable, and as you can see I'm doing this on a block of stockinette stitch with a garter stitch border. The 2/2 left cross is worked over 4 stitches and involves taking 2 knit stitches over another 2 knit stitches. This kind of cable can also be referred to as a C4F. To begin, I slip 2 stitches purlwise onto my cable needle. This is a left leaning cable, so I'm going to leave the cable needle at the front. I'm then going to knit 2 stitches from the left hand needle so that these stitches pass behind the stitches on the cable needle. And then I knit the 2 stitches off the cable needle. Overall, this moves 2 knit stitches, 2 stitches to the left, which creates a left leaning cable that's 2 stitches wide, as you can see here. Next, I'm going to show you the 2/2 right cross. Again, this is worked over 4 stitches and involves taking 2 knit stitches over another 2 knit stitches. This kind of cable can also be referred to as a C4B. I first slip 2 stitches purlwise onto the cable needle, and then this time, because it's a right leaning cable, I leave the cable needle at the back. I then knit 2 stitches from the left hand needle so that they pass in front of the stitches on the cable needle. And lastly, I knit the stitches off the cable needle. This produces a right leaning cable that's 2 stitches wide. Next, we're on to the 2/2 left purl cross. For this cable, I'm going to pass 2 knit stitches over 2 purl stitches. You'll nearly always find that this is the case in purl crosses, where the purl stitches are the stitches that pass behind. To begin, I slip 2 stitches purlwise onto the cable needle, and I hold the cable needle at the front. I then bring the working yarn between the needles to the front and do 2 purl stitches. These purl stitches pass behind the stitches on the cable needle. Then I take the working yarn to the back again and I knit the 2 stitches off the cable needle. This creates a left leaning cable that's 2 stitches wide and has been passed over 2 purl stitches. Purl stitches are recognisable by the bumps of yarn or purl bumps right next to the needle, as you can see on the 2 stitches in the top right. And finally, I'm going to show you the 2/2 right purl cross. As before, we're going to be passing 2 knit stitches over 2 purl stitches. So I slip 2 stitches purlwise onto my cable needle, and then keep the cable needle at the back. I then knit 2 stitches from the left hand needle, then bring the working yarn between the needles to the front and purl the 2 stitches off the cable needle. And this produces a right leaning cable that's 2 stitches wide that's been passed over 2 purl stitches. Again, you can recognise the purl stitches in the top left by the purl bumps next to the needle. Usually you'll see these purl crosses used on a reverse stockinette background. And here you can see my sample of knitting with the 2/2 cables at the top. In the central section, we've got 2/1 cables, so the cables are 2 stitches wide, but have only moved 1 stitch to either the right or the left. And then in the bottom section of the sample, we've got 1/2 cables, which are 1 stitch wide and have moved either 2 stitches to the right or 2 stitches to the left. I'm just showing you this for comparison purposes, particularly to compare the steepness of the cables. You'll be able to see that the cables at the top and at the bottom are at the same sort of angle, whereas the cables in the central section are at a steeper angle. The steepness of the cables is simply down to how many stitches to the right or to the left the cable has been moved. i.e., if you take a knit stitch over 2 stitches, it's going to be at a different angle to if it's taken over 3 stitches, for instance. Okay, so that concludes my lesson, and I really hope it's been useful. Thank you very much for watching.